We zijn er al een tijdje bezig. Van een beetje. Dat is waar. Wij zijn dus hard met zon en we zouden hier namelijk zo'n zwoele set spelen. En daar hebben we net 2 nummers van gedaan en dat is ook al een tijdje.
Doe maar ergens gewoon. Oh, die batterij is bijna leeg. Batterij is bijna leeg. Loop maar.
Kan ik een ding doen? Nee.
Politiek standpunt. Ja, goed. Dat is dan in geval. Maar goed, dat kan ik niet beoordelen. Als het daarover gaat, dan kun je dat tevoren ook niet zeggen. En dan moet je dan maar gewoon...
Nee, maar het gaat van maakt politiek of maakt kunst?
Nee, maar goed, dat zoekt hij uit dan. Daarvoor gaat hij hier iets doen.
Ja,
denk ik.
hoef je hier niet uit te zoeken.
Oh.
Het is een keuze die je voor jezelf moet maken.
hij kan dat hier toch, hij kan deze plek toch gebruiken om te kijken in hoeverre dat hij het goed doet.
Dat is een beste goede idee.
Dat is hoe ons beeld wat jij gezien hebt, Grommelans vanuit de dat zullen beginsel ook wel politieke beelden van hem geweest zijn, dat zijn we niet meer als Marokko. Hij heeft het mooi uitgevoerd en sculptuurplaatjes.
Ja.
From my brain into a bad English. So I hope this will be very good for those who do not speak English, and it will be horrible for those who speak English. I'm going to show you 3 works of mine which are based on something you read and something you take out of the world. There are 3 installations which were realized during the last 3 years, and they look very different, but they have some similar ideas to deal with, or aspects to deal with. And the first is based on one of the most famous Austrian persons living in this century, whose name is Ludwig Wittgenstein. And this, what you see here, or here, there, is the so-called Villa Wittgenstein stone borough, which he made for his sister. In fact, the family Wittgenstein was a very rich family. They were weapon dealers during the period of the First World War, so they made a lot of money. And Wittgenstein was something like the bad black sheep in the family of Wittgensteins. And as you know, he became a philosopher, and his first period of philosophy ended in 1921 with this famous book, Tractatus Logico-Philosophicus, which is called Philosophy 1, or Early Philosophy, and which is very generalizing concept about the world, and he himself believed that he could solve all the problems of the world with this one book he wrote. Then he was working in 29, he started to work with this house, and later on, as probably everybody knows, he changed his philosophy to the opposite, to a more pragmatic analysis of language after he returned to Cambridge. And some experts claim that in this house you could see the first period of Wittgenstein visualized in all the extreme and in all the stupidity which can appear in this with a system like that. And it looks like a normal modernistic building from outside, and it also looks like a normal modernistic building from inside. But the Austrians had not many buildings in modernistic tradition at that time. So in Vienna there are probably 5 buildings you can show to tourists of this historical period. But in Zagreb, in Yugoslavia, there are 20 or 30 or 40, and in Brünn, in Czechoslovakia, there are also 20 or 40. And for Dutch people, it maybe is nothing spectacular on this building. But for Austrians, it's something, and it's our own philosopher, our only philosopher we can show to the people from abroad. So this is the famous Villa Wittgenstein, and this is a drawing of this famous Villa Wittgenstein. Of course, it looks like that. As you see, it's a cubistic form of some cubes added to each other, and there is some system of the height of windows and so on, and all the details are really medieval, drawn and executed. And nowadays, this is a Bulgarian embassy, and is protected by law now, and the embassy is not really very happy about that, because they cannot exchange the steel windows against modern plastic windows, which is what they would like to do. Yeah, but what is interesting about this house is that Wittgenstein tried some special things. For example, this is the place where you enter the house, and there is something which is called entrance hall. This entrance hall should be smaller than the next room, which is the bigger one, and should be also smaller than the next room, which is this one, which is the real hall. This room should have a lower height than this room, and a lower one than this room. But here we have to walk up several stairs, so there must be some gap in the ceiling between this and this room. So there are some hollow spaces above the first room, a less high hollow space above this one, and no one above this one. And then another approach of Wittgenstein was to create something like perfect symmetry. So the first room is symmetrical, the second room is also symmetrical, but there is a door to the wardrobe. So he founded the subsystem that every aperture of a wall is only allowed in the very center of the wall. And if there is no real center in the wall, then he makes something like a pillar in the corner, or a pillar in the middle of the wall, to get the wall divided into several parts, and one of the parts gets the hole in the middle, of course. And in this entrance hall, there's one door here to the dining room, one door here to the private spaces, one door here to something which is called hall, one door here, which is in another drawn in another level. But so this room is almost perfectly symmetrical, because there are so many pillars here, which make a seemingly symmetrical structure. And there is a thin wall here, with the aperture exactly in the middle, and it's quite easy to make windows in the middle of this gap between the pillars. The private living room. So this door would have had a different view. So he decided to cover all the doors with milk glass, or so that they're not really translucent, so that you can't see the difference of of the garden view and the living room view. And here there's also a door in the middle, of course. If you start the concept from this room, but in that room, the problem is that this door is neither in the middle of this wall, nor it's opposite to that wall, where there are two windows almost in the middle, and then we fake chimney here. That was a problem, that it would be a chimney, so let's just make a chimney and have it. But there's also this door here. So there's a door here and a door here. This is Austrian modernism, and this is Ludwig Wittgenstein. And yes, and I used this system. So, and as probably people who have been in Austria know, that all the galleries and museums in Austria are on the first floor of buildings which were built around the beginning of the century. And this floor is called Piano Nobile, which is the rich floor. And they all have beautiful floors, they all have big windows and big doors. And I was invited to do an installation in a room which looked like that. So this is a window here, a very big window. This is another big window. This is a very huge door and another huge door. And this is only a small door for servants to bring the food in the times when it was a palace and now it's a gallery. So I claim that there is a problem about this room, and I cannot stand the anti-symmetrical character of this room, because this one is the actual main axis, but what you feel as an architect following the structuralistic approach of Wittgenstein is that the main axis must be this, of course. So what can be done to help the room, or to help myself, because I have such a bad feeling? So what I do is take the measurement A from the small service door to the corner and put it to the other side here, oops, and take this distance B from the big door to the corner over there, and then we go like that. And I built a wall here out of plywood, and I built another wall here, and I cut a door into this wall, which had the same size than this door over here, the service door. And I cut a door into this wall, which had the same size like the big door. So I got a symmetrical front room and some back room, which was dark, but it was symmetrical. And I got a quite good main space, but the main space was not perfect, of course, because the distance here was not the same than the distance here. So this distance was larger. So I took this distance over here and made a Wittgenstein fake pillar in the corner of this room here. So it was much better now. But this door was not in the middle of this wall segment now. So I took the distance T over here to D1 and made another fake pillar in here. So this door now is exactly in the main axis of this wall segment, as well as these two windows are exactly in the middle of these two wall segments. And this is okay and this is okay. But in fact it's not okay over there. So the next step is to take this distance over here and make another fake pillar here. Now this door is working perfectly, this is perfect, but not the distance over here, because I want to have it really perfect like Wittgenstein wanted. So I take the distance F to F1 and make another fake pillar G1, which is the opposite of G here. So I get a double pillar here, a double pillar wall system here, and now this space is perfect axial symmetric with a very big bay door, very perfect space to present art pieces, for example, or bourgeois property. And the funny thing in the exhibition was that the people were just walking around and thought, yeah, maybe it's going to be painted, and then they bring the piece. And I can show you now the slides of the, if I can show you the slides. Here you can see that I draw the lines on the floor because it was a textile floor, And these are the double pillars in one corner. And what you can see here is the servant's door, the small one, with a reflected servant's door in the artificial wall, and the dark back room. And to the right it's another exhibition room, and to the left it's going to my main space, or the main space of my exhibition room. And what you see here is that this is the general view of all the rooms. So as you can see, people can see nothing which looks unnatural. This is my Wittgenstein pillar. This is my artificial wall. This is the servant's door. This is the dark back room. This is the double pillar, and this is the perfect space for art presentation. But as you can see, people used to walk through this line of rooms. So they just walk and walk and walk and look, oh, it's dark here, or here something's missing, let's go to the next one. So this was quite successful because nobody stopped in the room. This was the first installation I wanted to show you, and now I can... That is difficult because in German I would quote the catalog text, but in English it's difficult. And it's kind of, I try it. No other intervention has such a strange impact than the reconstruction of real space. For the aim of fulfilling a dream, the room is transferred into a symmetrical one by building some walls which transfer the room into some sacral space, with the disadvantage of some other spaces like double walls, like the Wittgenstein, like pillars, and all the fake things which are just the victims of sacrification of the room. And of course in German it sounds much more intellectual, like I did now. So this was number one. Number two is a video installation I did in Museum Mönchengladbach. And it's on video, but that's not the video. That's the video, but not the documentation, of course. And so I try to explain something which is very natural and everybody knows, but just to repeat it, that video is different from film, but some people do not remember that. So it's just to lead you to the ideas I had, is that video is an electromagnetic way of taping visual and audio material, and the main problem of video is, or the main advantage is, that it's going in real time, everybody knows that, and blah 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 blah. What is most important of video is that usually it is a very complicated way of reading the information of the reality or of the computer, whatever, and transporting it, transferring it on a magnetic tape, probably in lines which are different from the lines which are on the screen, of course. So whatever video does, it's so complicated that it has nothing to do with real life at all. And this is the basis for all the video theory. It was the basis for most of the video theory in the 20th century, that video has nothing to do with reality, and so it's seemingly stupid to use real images anymore in video, but I use them for the documentation. And what I thought is most important about video is that this monitor has a source of light at its back, and this source of light is sending rays or beams to the front, to the so-called screen. And these rays are going like this, and the next is starting like that, and so on. So this is a very simple explanation, of course. So whenever we have a video, whenever we watch video at home or watch TV, we needn't switch off the light like in the cinema, because the video thing is lightened by itself. It's just a source of light and nothing else. And this leads to Virio's theory about video, and he had two main lines. One is that he thought that video is just another step of urban light systems. So the first step is having light in the cities, the second step is the electrification, and the third step is video. And video, of course, leads to this society of surveillance. And of course, everybody knows that TV is socializing the people more than any media or anything, anybody else in life. But this is banal. And the second line he's working on was the so-called machine of vision, or I don't know what's in English, but which is a camera and a computer connected to each other, and the computer is able to read images and work with them independently. In the meantime, everybody knows that from industrial systems, industrial production. In mass production, if things pass by which look wrong, then the computer makes an alarm and the thing is taken out of projection. And it's also, everybody also knows from the Gulf War, if we make a photograph from the satellite, we can probably exactly define what it is, because the computer compares it with the things which he has in storage, sometimes